Yes. Resume recording. Okay. Hello, everybody. This is Nicole Whitlock with eCom Sellers Academy. I have 0 lights on. First, I want to say welcome. Welcome. I'm so glad that you're here. This has been a crazy time. This has been a crazy year. This has been a lot of crazy. I think everybody knows it's been a lot of crazy. So since, the crazy continues, I'm going to have to use my phone for the lights because my son is on the other side of the wall and he is doing something. So I can't get him to help me with my lighting situation. So I'm going to do old school. Let me see if I can get this light on. Just a second. Go ahead.
I'm playing laptop.
Okay, Nicholas. Okay. All right. Let there be light, and there was light. So I want to help you guys get started planning for 2021. 2020 has been a force to be reckoned with. I think everybody is, I don't know. It's been a crazy year. So hopefully, if you can hear me, type in the chat that you can hear me. Let me know if you can hear me. So respond in the chat if you can hear me. So that way I know that, yep, okay, you can hear me. Good. Okay. So again, my name is Nicole Whitlock. I'm with eCom Sellers Academy, and we're going to be talking about how to get started planning for 2020. My goal is to give you a bunch of information. Some of it you may go, this is not helpful. And some of it you may go, this is very helpful, and I appreciate it. I want to give you a different perspective on how to look at your business, your e-commerce business, and just like this interesting journey that has been 2020. So this is supposed to be a 3-part series. I'm going to try to collapse it down into a 2-part series, just to, and we'll see how well it goes. So let me go ahead and get started. So during this series, again, it's supposed to be a 3-part series. It's going to be collapsed down to 2. We're going to talk about resetting your business, resetting your mindset, resetting your thoughts, resetting what you thought about your business for 2020 and what you might want to do differently in 2021, what you might want to consider, what you might want to, just make some adjustments or changes in your business. Or maybe this is not what you want to do. Maybe you want to do something completely different for 2021. We're going to talk about refocusing in your business. I've been known for helping people get organized in their business, setting priorities. So we're going to talk about some of the things that are really important about your priorities in your business and getting organized and structured. We recently did 2 talks. We talked about taxes with Lysandra Everett, and then we talked about money with Delshawn. And so those were 2, like just sort of a Kickstarter. We're going to take aspects of some of the things that they said when it comes to your business, and we're going to put that into the refocus section of your business. And then we're going to talk about re-energize. So re-energize is definitely going to be on our January, I think it's 5th session. And in that re-energize, we're going to talk about how to re-energize your business for 2021. What are some of the things that you might want to consider doing differently in 2021? The fact is, and we know this unfortunately, because of the pandemic, that people have become accustomed to buying online. They become more comfortable than they were historically. And so that means potentially a lot of money for a lot of sellers if they, really kind of make adjustments to their business, how they're doing their business, what they're doing in their business. And then for others, maybe they made the adjustment and they're just fine. And so they need to think about different ways to make money. But 2021 is definitely going to be one of those about multiple streams of income and a multi-channel. And so if you're not a multi-channel person, or you're not a multiple streams of income person, then this will give you some ideas and some strategies. So we're going to cover retail arbitrage and online arbitrage, of course, But we're also going to talk about, setting up your own Shopify or WooCommerce store. We're going to talk about how you could, what that looks like for you for 2021 potentially, and some strategies. We're going to talk about a couple of tips on ads. We're going to talk about print on demand. We're going to talk about some of the other platforms in which you can sell on, and some things to consider on those other platforms. So we're going to cover a lot of stuff in the Re-Energize, because the goal is to help you to be extremely profitable in your business in 2021, and to help you kickstart it right. Like, this is not, if you want to take this as setting it as a New Year's resolution, that's your call. But I think that everyone should take the opportunity. I try to do it on a quarterly basis. Now, I used to do it on a quarterly basis. Now I do it on a monthly basis, where I kind of reassess. I set goals for the year, and then I reassess where I am every single month in those goals. And so, again, we're going to talk about that a little bit more in the Reorganize, but in the Organize Your Business session, so that way you can hit those milestones. If you have some goals that you really want to hit, we're going to set up some strategies. We're going to use some strategies and techniques to hopefully get you where you want to be in your business for 2021, and help you to stay as much on track as possible. So resets, all about your mindset, your thoughts. This has been a rough year. We're going to have to pour some grace and mercy over this year. Refocus. We're getting reorganized, or getting organized, setting priorities in your business so you can build that level of consistency in your business, and then re-energizing your business. Maybe you're not doing drop shipping. What are some of the ways in which you could get started in drop shipping? Maybe don't have wholesale accounts. What are some ways in which you can get started with wholesale? Maybe you don't have a private label product. What are some ways you can get started in that? And so re-energizing your business so that you can sprinkle in and actually take advantage of, again, multiple streams of income and multi-channel. So let's get started. All right. So this feels like 2020. 2020 is definitely a meme. So we have so many things to say about 2020. It has been just such a crazy year. So the examples I have here, you got Reese Witherspoon. She's all happy in January. And most of us as sellers, like, we're coming off of January. We've dealt with our customer returns. This is January of January 2020, the end of 2019. We had an amazing Q4. So we're excited about that. We're counting our profits in January. We're still dealing with some returns. We still got a lot of sales. Like, our sales are still great. Then in February, we have a little bit of a hiccup. Something happens. We hear a little bit of something. It's not really a big deal, but some stuff is happening. We get to March and we're on lockdown. Now, for some of us, we pivoted in March, and where we began the process in April of pivoting. March was like, oh my gosh, we're still in the state of shock. We're like the kid in Home Alone with our face like, oh my gosh. And we had to work through those challenges of just adjusting to a pandemic, and what does that mean? And how does that affect me? How does that affect my family? How do I feel about that? So, this first couple of months in 2020, January and February, January is pretty good. February was still good, because you're still getting those Valentine's Day sales. You're still coming off of those New Year's resolution sales and all that other stuff. And then March. So everything changed in March, April, May, June, July, all the way for some of us. And some people never recovered in their business. They didn't recover because, maybe Amazon was their primary selling platform. And so they had to work through those challenges of Amazon being their primary selling platform, and Amazon, saying, okay, you can't sell this item. We're only taking essential products. There was just a lot that happened. And a lot of people got frustrated. They got mad. Some people's inventory was stuck. They couldn't do anything. They couldn't go anywhere with their inventory because Amazon was holding their inventory hostage. And so for those people, when they came out of the other side of February or March, they literally, sorry, not February, March, when they came out of the other side of April or May, then they took advantage of, okay, Nicholas, sorry, my son, who's autistic, is in the room with me. He has leads on his head because he has to be monitored for seizures. So he has to stay in here with me. So I apologize. Mm-hmm. But in any case, so in May, when they were able to loosen some of the restrictions, and in June, those people were like, okay, I'm going to They had to learn in April how to fulfill from their own inventory from Amazon. Some of them took advantage of actually, sending some of their inventory from the wholesale suppliers over to prep centers. Other people were just starting to get their inventory back from China. Like it was just really crazy. Okay. So the crazy, of course, continues because again, we were all trying to adjust to 2020 and adjust to all of the crazy that is and was the beginning of this year. And so for some sellers, they kind of got back on the horse around August. Some didn't, because again, you got to homeschool kids. You got to figure out what to do with your kids. You got to figure out how am I going to pivot to get inventory. Okay, I finally got some inventory from China. Inventory is finally coming in. Oh, okay, now we got a problem with the mail. So 2020 was just a lot of crazy. And we're still dealing with the mail issues, with mail packages not arriving. USPS has got the biggest backlog. And I tried to explain to people, I understand aspects of why USPS is so backlogged. All of the carriers, FedEx, UPS, USPS, and even non-carriers like Amazon, they had to figure out how to pivot in the middle of this pandemic. They had to figure out how to get their, how to implement the CDC guidelines. They had to figure out how to, in addition to pivoting and inserting those CDC guidelines in all of their business operations. You've got people that are coming into the office and maybe they've got COVID-19 or they tested positive, and they got everyone that they were around has got to isolate themselves. So self-quarantine. So you go from, and the USPS offices, maybe one of the post offices had like 200 people and one person or two people tested positive. So the people that they were working around, maybe that was a good 50 people that were working around that had to self-quarantine for about 7 to 10 days. And so that just, reduced staff, reduced operations. It was just crazy. So 2020 required all of us to just, I guess, have to deal with and to cope and have to make adjustments. And we weren't prepared for that. I'm sure we all had a game plan at the beginning of 2020 saying, this is what we're going to do for the year. And then you literally had to take your entire game plan and just throw it out the window. Like, okay, we're going to have to rewrite this thing because this is not going to work. Nothing about my goals and my plans are matching up to what I was able to do. Now, for other people, they didn't care. They literally went out there and they took advantage of, they made the pivot and the shift to retail arbitrage because that was the easiest way to get inventory. They also took advantage of liquidations. And so all of that gave them the opportunity to actually come out on the other side of crazy deals. I know people who are sellers that they actually exceeded their goals probably by June. Like they met their entire goal for 2020 by June because they pivoted so quickly. They were able to make adjustments in their business because they were in control of more of their business. And so I think that's one of the things that people are learning from 2020 is that you have to be more in control of aspects of your business. Sending your inventory over to Amazon and just allowing them to ship it to your customers. Yeah, that works. But then when Amazon has to shut down or slow down or implement CDC guidelines, it just threw everything off. So again, 2020 was a lot of lessons learned. And so I hope this is what I want you to do. I want you to kind of look at your business because you should be running your year-end reports. Don't forget to do that. If the different platforms in which you sell on, you should be running your year-end reports before 12/31. Really look at your numbers. Look at what you were doing. Your numbers were probably on target and on track for what you wanted to do in January and probably even February. Then March, your numbers either went up, they stayed flat, stayed where they were, and they were consistent, or they went down. And that could depend on whatever your model was. Because again, for drop shippers, they were having challenges with getting inventory to come across the ocean. There were delays in that, getting stuff from China. For private label, they were having challenges as well, or fulfilling from their own. They had to adjust to or pivot to fulfill from their inventory from Amazon. Like everyone had to make adjustments. But there are some lessons learned in that. So you need to write down, this is your opportunity, your window to write down, what did you learn about the changes that you had to make in your business operations in March, April, and May, and June? What were those changes? And then also, how did you begin the process of gearing up for July, August, and September? Because, the pandemic, we've got a vaccine. It's probably going to be, there are another 9 months, if not 10, before we're at a place where there is a comfort level where sort of business returns to normal. And that may mean another 6 months of kids, parents homeschooling kids. And so if you're that person that has kids at home and you're trying to run your e-commerce business, what adjustments did you make in your business to be able to handle that? If Chinese New Year is coming, so hopefully you already made some orders with your suppliers over in China, but if you haven't, what adjustments have you prepared for? And if there's another wave of the pandemic, like what are you ready for? So I think, one of the biggest things is people have to document, take the opportunity this last week in December to really write down some lessons learned, because the numbers are going up again for the pandemic. There may or may not be another lockdown around globally, not US, just globally. Different cities and countries are locking down again. And so what does that mean for your business? How is your business going to be impacted for that? Have you made adjustments in your operations to be able to handle that? You really need to be thinking about that right now. And if you're sourcing from overseas, do you have enough inventory to be able to get through if there's another lockdown in China? So something to think about. So like I said, there were people that made a boatload of money on the other side of this. Their sales were insane. Their profits were insane. Everything was insane about what kind of money they were making. They were just making money hand over fist. A lot of the people that I know that were making money hand over fist, again, they mourn the loss of some level of, I don't know, access to different things, whether it's getting shipments delivered on time or whatever it happened to be. And they figured out a solution that worked for them. I have a boatload of inventory in my garage, in my living room, in my storage unit, which is sad, but I do. But that makes it easy for me to be able to do whatever I need to do. I am not a prep center or fulfillment center, but I am a prep center and a fulfillment center for myself. So again, those people that were doing their own stuff, they maybe had a little more flexibility. They had to make adjustments in, dealing with UPS, FedEx versus USPS, because now USPS has slowed down significantly, and they've got to get, the shipments out. So, those people that were able to pivot or they were sourcing at the stores, again, there's going to be another wave where people are not going to go to the grocery store. So those people that source for steady eddies, which is, groceries or shelf stable food. I know I heard the story of the person who made a boatload of money off of mashed potatoes. So just being able to sell that type of inventory, these are things that are not necessarily going to be returns. So you want to be prepared for that. And for those of you that did have an amazing Q4, made the adjustments, were able to, have an amazing Q4, but you're struggling right now with USPS, they've got your packages, or you're dealing with a lot of returns. Just remember, you've got an extended period of time in which there's going to be, all the platforms are allowing people the opportunity to be able to process returns. So if you're a drop shipper, you need to know whether or not your source supplier has extended their window as well to allow returns. I know of some people that did not take that into account. So their supplier has still got whatever the return window is, 14 days, 30 days, whatever it happens to be. But the platform that they're selling on says we're going to continue to accept returns until the middle of February. They're not ready for that. So that's going to be money they're going to have to eat, especially if there's challenges with the post office. So others are pivoting to FedEx and UPS because FedEx and UPS are, starting to get their stuff together. And others are moving back to Amazon FBA, although Amazon storage limits have made adjustments. But just know that there are a lot of people making a lot of money in the middle of this crazy, crazy, crazy pandemic. And it was because they pivoted fast. So I just threw a bunch of stuff at you. I really want you to go back and I want you to look at your numbers. I want you to look at your data for January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August, and really see, did I pivot fast enough? And those people that had a windfall, like that did pivot really quick, what were the things that the lessons learned? Because you're possibly going to have to re-implement some aspects of that in a different way. We're going to have to continue to evolve in our businesses over the next 9 to 12 months. And are you ready for that? Or are you done with e-commerce? Like, this was too much. I got to deal with the kids and my business too. I got to deal with all these people with these returns and complaints. Like, is it too much? And are you just done? Have you lost all the joy in what you do? So what you think about that? I think in 2020, another thing that all of us have learned, like a bunch of people were like, okay, we're going to make more money in 2021, or we're going to create more memories in 2021. A lot of us lost family members and friends, or know people who've lost family members or friends. And there are people that are continuing to suffer, and the death rates are just insane. And it's hard. It is really hard. This year, I personally lost 3 family members. And I know of people who have lost family members and friends. And so it is a really, really tough thing. And what is your plan and your strategy for your business to survive beyond you? What is it? Do you have a game plan? Have you thought about that? Because I think a lot of us have had to have a reality check in our business. We're just going along, clipping along in our business and running our business just fine. Maybe we have amazing immune systems. Maybe we don't have any comorbidities. Maybe we've been fortunate enough to be in places where the COVID numbers are not high, so we're continuing to be able to source and to sell, and it's not a problem for us. Or maybe we're just doing all of our stuff online, and we've worked it out with our shipping and everything, whatever it happens to be. Again, in the middle of this pandemic, I have to commend someone who I admire a great deal, which is Amy Weiss. In the middle of this pandemic, she took, I think, not 1, not 2, but possibly 3 different vacations. Because you work really, really hard, and then you have to take a breather. A cabin fever was a real thing, is a real thing. Some of us still have cabin fever. And so the ability to just say, you know what, we're going to travel as safe as we can travel, and we're just going to get away, because this is just a lot. It's a lot for our kids. It's a lot for our spouses. It's a lot for everything. We're going to come back and we're going to crush it. We're going to work really, 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 really hard, and we're going to take another break. So I think she took 2, maybe not 3. But the point is that, what are you doing with your family in the middle of this pandemic? Others have decided to incorporate or fold their kids into their business so that they could have the opportunity to continue to run their business, and then it becomes more of a family thing versus just a singular person thing. So do you have those opportunities to do that? But I don't want you to overlook the opportunity for next year, this coming up year, to think about creating memories a little bit more, because I think the reality is that all of us have had a huge wake-up call about how short life is, that our affairs really should be in order. What happens to our business if we're not here? And are we throwing so much at our business that we're neglecting our family? And what does that look like? What kind of challenges are our kids already experiencing? And then now they have a parent who neglects them because they're focused 100% on building an e-commerce business. And of course, that steals the joy, and it makes the kids resent. So it just creates a whole nother series of issues. But I want you to think about that. I do want everybody to make more money in 2021. You got to figure out the balance between the two and make it work for you and your family. So I want to say, you know what? It's going to be okay. I lovingly refer to grace and mercy as a sandwich. So I say, okay, we're going to spread a bunch of grace and mercy over 2020, because in addition to all the stuff that we had to deal in our e-commerce business, there was a lot of external stuff that was happening that was completely outside of our control in the U.S. And, for some people, either way, regardless of where you stand, there was just a lot of activity happening in the U.S., and processing all of that and dealing with it just in your household and or for you personally, it was just a lot. And so 2020 also helped a lot of people just come to the realization that they've got to figure out how to deal with their own mental health better. how to reduce your stress levels, how to reduce your anxiety, how to manage depression. I know some sellers who, depression is a real thing and for them. And so just dealing with depression and having to deal with how to manage your feelings and stop watching the news and stop watching aspects of social media and redirect your focus. And it's kind of hard to do when you're isolated in your home, if you're isolated, or if you've lost family members and just dealing with the mental, the emotional stress of that, or if you lost your job, or you know somebody who lost their job, or you know somebody who's lost their home, they've lost their livelihood. It was just a lot. There was a lot of emotional stuff. So I say you'll shake it off, but I say that in jest. The reality is we all need a hug and we should all embrace each other and just come to the realization that, you know what, we're going into 2021. It's going to be okay. We're going to do the best that we can. And we're going to spread a lot of grace and mercy into 2021. We have to. We have to figure out how to keep going in the midst of it all. So that is a gospel song, In the Midst of It All, one of my favorites. So it's really more about grace and mercy. It's about spreading that sandwich, the spread every single day, grace and mercy, and forgiving yourself, because I'm sure you had emotions, feelings, thoughts about different things. And so letting some of that go. Don't carry the weight of what, if you can, don't carry some of that weight and baggage into your business into 2021 if you want it to grow. You can't, it won't grow. It won't grow. So we have to figure out how to release it, how to let it go, and how to grow this business. So hopefully some of that makes sense to you all. There's just a lot that happened in 2021. So we're going to talk about resetting. We're going to reset our mindset. We're going to reset how we think about our business, how we look at our business, and some of the things we do in our business, so that we can maybe make some different choices in 2021 or be better prepared to pivot in 2021 and be better prepared to adjust in 2021. So does your mindset matter? Absolutely. It really does. Your mindset drives a lot of the decisions you make in your business. It drives your operations. For people who have been running their e-commerce business for years, some of the stuff is on autopilot, and some of it they had to learn. Oh my gosh, when one part of what you had on autopilot breaks down, how do you make adjustments in other areas of your business? So life of an entrepreneur at the beginning, you're in business for yourself. So some of you are just running your business. You don't outsource to a prep center. You don't send your stuff to, order stuff and have it at a fulfillment center for them to fulfill it. You do it all yourself. You make all the decisions. You own the business, you run the business, you make all the decisions. And a lot of us are operating our businesses week to week or month to month. So that from a financial standpoint, as soon as the money dries up, and I think a lot of people learned that this year, unfortunately, that there were a lot of businesses that were operating month to month, or maybe they only had a 3-month reserve. And so the reality is, going into 2021, I'm going to encourage all of us to do what we can so we can sustain our business. And if you only had a 3-month reserve, maybe put a 6-month reserve in place for 2021, or try to figure out how to get a year's worth of reserve so you can weather potential future storms. It also gives you more capital for reinvestment in the future, but being able to do that. So you own the business, you run the business, you're in the day-to-day operations, you make all the decisions, and you track everything. So you're the boss. You run this business. And that is truly the life of an entrepreneur. So when things go right and things go wrong, there are things you can control, and everything else that you cannot control. This year revealed to us that we should have potentially a plan B or a backup plan. But for some of these things, there's no way to have a backup plan. You have to have some reserves to be able to handle it. So be thinking about that and embrace the fact that you are the boss. You're the boss. You make all the decisions. You run the business. You're in control of the business to an extent. You can't control everything, but you can, the things that you can control, definitely control those. So that means you're the chief everything officer. I love this shirt. This shirt, I will always use this example, because we created these for our No Excuses. We used to have a group called No Excuses. And it is so true. And I have like 4 of these shirts. You're the chief everything officer. You do everything. I do everything. Ship, list. Well, not all of it anymore, but early on, I did all the listings. I did all the shipping, took all of the pictures. I did all. And so at some point, you want to get to a place where you're not doing all of those things and you can outsource that. Okay. So what happens with this life of an entrepreneur, the real world experience? Well, you get to experience all the stress. That was true for this year. Anxiety, you take all the blame. Well, there's going to be a lot of that frustration, especially with returns and late deliveries in 2020, going into 2021, and probably the first month or two in 2021. And you're responsible for all the failures. Now, again, with an asterisk, there are things that you can control and do what you can to control those things. So what I want you to do, action item number 2, is to sit down and write down everything that you do in your business, like everything. You can just make it into like a list form or a bullet form, but write down everything that you do in your business. If you're creating the listings, if you're doing all of the keyword research, or maybe you're using a tool for that. If you are, doing all the customer service, you're handling all the shipping, you're handling all the returns. I want you to write down every aspect of your e-commerce business, because we're going to take that information and figure out how we can make adjustments to that for 2021. And so you don't know what you could potentially make adjustments to if you don't document what you're doing. If you just write a list. You don't have to write the detailed steps. Just, create listings if that's one of the things you do. Take pictures if that's one of the things you do. Handle returns, customer service inquiries. If that's something that you do, fine. And then when we get into the next part of this, we're going to dig into those things so that maybe these are opportunities to outsource. Maybe you can give it to your kids, have them do some follow-up for you. Or maybe, you can push it off to maybe a service to handle some of that for you. Okay. But right now in 2020, we are running our own business. And so we have to deal with the stresses of being the boss when things go wrong, when things go right, regardless of the control that we have over what's happening with USPS. The customer only sees it as us, and we have to deal with that. And we have to be strong enough to deal with it. Right now, I think everyone is dealing with probably 20% more customer complaints and returns than they have, or potential returns. It just depends on how you handle it. In some cases, not in all cases, but we're dealing with more because of the fact that there's some delays in packages getting delivered for several of the sellers. And so just trying to track that, manage it, deal with it, and still keep cash flow coming in, creating new listings, putting up new stuff, selling more products, and still dealing with the stuff that hasn't been delivered yet. It's very frustrating. And we also deal with the financial burden. Do you have a process where you actually reconcile once a week or once a month? Do you know what your tipping point is, where you're no longer going to be able to do this business, or you're in reverse profit, meaning you're not making any money, you're in the red, you're losing money? So do you know what your numbers are? And how well are you taking care of that? And how well did you monitor that in 2020? So the day in the life of an entrepreneur, some days, I know in Q4, I'm excited, everything is working. Oh, something happened. Oh, no, it's working. Oh, nope, it's messed up. Oh, I'm going to go bankrupt. Oh, this sucks. I hate it. Oh, this is great. So it is an up and down journey. And I think with 2020, there were probably more spikes, way more spikes in 2020, because things were good and then they were bad and then they were good and then they were bad. And then for some people, they didn't have a lot of bad. They just, maybe their only hiccup was shipping, or maybe their only hiccup was, those people that did retail arbitrage, sourcing was not a problem at all. Like, you had a plethora of inventory. You still have a plethora of inventory. So, this is the life of an entrepreneur. We have to embrace it. We run our own businesses, and we have to figure out how to make this work for us. And that's going to be one of the keys. I want you to rethink about how you do your business and what you're doing in your business, so that you can make different decisions, potentially better decisions for 2021, and be more profitable in 2021, or decide this is not for you. Okay. So, what is your why in your business? Why are you doing this? I think the reality is a lot of people, like for me, when I first started doing e-commerce, I did it because of my boys. I needed money. I needed to be able to cover their medical expenses, doctor's appointments, all that other stuff. And then I later found that I actually enjoyed it. Like I enjoyed going out and finding profitable items and seeing that I could sell it for a higher price. And then when the item sells, being able to keep that difference. I enjoyed sourcing. I enjoyed finding things to sell. I love that. And, I do the physical retail arbitrage, online arbitrage. So I go out, I'm out there in the streets. I also enjoy, doing online research and then growing different aspects of my business, introducing print on demand. I enjoy it when I'm able to make profit on different platforms. If I got sales going on Etsy, I'm excited about that. When I got sales going on Facebook Marketplace, I enjoy it. So if you enjoy the business, that's great. But if it has become a burden for you, if you've lost joy in doing this business, then why are you still doing it? If you don't have any joy in doing this, if there's nothing about it that you like, if you couldn't do it anymore, would you miss it? Or has it become a necessity? So you're doing it because you need the money, but you have no joy in it. And what then, in that case, what brings you joy? What brings you joy? So I really want you to also think about, we've talked about 3 things now. We talked about, at the beginning, just documenting your months so you can go back and do an assessment, and then document what you do in your business so you can come back and do an assessment. And then I also want you to document your why. What keeps you motivated in doing this business? Is there nothing about it? Or for some people, they found that e-commerce actually helped them stay afloat. When everything else was crumbling around them, maybe their hours got cut back. Maybe they were an Uber driver and they could no longer do Uber. So then they had to make an adjustment and go do Shipt or Postmates or something else and do e-commerce. They had to make adjustments in their lives. So what is it about e-commerce that you like? If it's not e-commerce, is there something else that you like? If there's a passion for something else, then do that. And figure out how you can use e-commerce as a tool to help you get the money that you need so you can do what you enjoy, what your passion is. So what do you like about it? Why did you get in this business? Why are you still doing it? If you're not going to do it in 2021, that's fine. Wash your hands of it. Let some people know you want to get rid of your inventory or sell all your stuff on different platforms, but figure it out. Because life is entirely too short. I think everyone has come to that realization that life is really too short. This year was a wake-up call for that. And so you shouldn't be doing things you really don't like unless you find passion and joy in it. So the other thing I want you to do is I want you to peel back, I call it peel the onion. So what motivates you? A lot of people focus on what they want to have. And that is really not what our focus should be. But what do you want to be? Who must I be to be able to do this job? So I know that I have to be a good mom. I have to be a mom who loves her kids. I have to be a mom who is passionate about her kids learning how to live in this world without her. Because if nothing else, this year revealed to me that, look, when I'm gone, who is going to take care of my kids? And I've always thought this way, just so you guys know. But it more so this year than any other year. Who's going to take care of my kids? Where are they going to live? What does their life look like when they're 35 and I'm gone? Did I do enough? Did I teach them enough skills? Are they regressing while they're at home? Who do I want to be? I'm a vice president of a nonprofit. What type of nonprofit do we want to be? Do we want to be a nonprofit that helps people that are in need and during this time of the year, which is what our focus has been? Or do we want to be, something else? So who do you want to be? And then what must I do to become that person? So for me, being a mom, I know I have to be more mindful of how much screen time my boys have. I have to make sure that they're more physical. These are the things I have to do in order to be a better mom. I got to go do these things. In order for us to be a helpful nonprofit, we have to, seek out these families that are in need, that are struggling right now. So what must I do? We've got to go figure out where they are, what are the channels in which we can find them, and how can they find us so that we can serve them. And then so that I can have. So for me, it's going to be have peace of mind. I do want to have lots of profits. I think if in my other B world, who must I be? I must be a good trainer. I must be a good service provider. I must be a person that really serves the people who sign up for any of our programs. And so what must I do? I need to go find out. I need to do the work, find out what it is they want to learn or need to learn. Where do they need help? And help them in those areas in which they need help so that I can have, so that they can pay me for our services or so we can be a blessing to them. But again, for a lot of people, it's about, I want to buy that $1 million car, $1 million house, have that fancy car. And you will find over here, that's not how we roll at all. We are real people dealing with real struggles. Like today, we had to go do a blood draw. We had to put the leads on my son's head. So, that's the kind of stuff that I deal with. I'm a regular person that has regular stuff happen in her business and in her personal life. You need to think about that for yourself and for your business. Who must I be? Who must I be? I gotta be a good mom. I gotta be a good service provider. I gotta be a good trainer. I gotta be a good seller. And what must I do? I got to make sure I'm making all the decisions that are going to move the needle in my business so that I can get the profits, so I can make money in my business, seriously. And so I have peace of mind that my kids are taken care of when I'm gone. So what are the things that you have to potentially do differently in your business? Don't think about the things you want to have, because material things, those are great motivational, but they're temporary. They could change. One week you want to get, I don't know, a Lexus, and the next week you want to get some other car. So those are all material things. But deep down inside, what motivates you? What's your long game? Do you still want to do e-commerce 5 years from now? Or do you want to do something else? Like seriously, do you still want to do e-commerce in the way that you're doing it? There are people who have been doing this for 10 years and they're happy with it. They're into their 60s and they're happy with it. They're really excited about it. I'm in my 50s, believe it or not. So do you still want to do this, or do you want your business to grow? Do you want it to evolve? And if you do, definitely come back for the re-energize, because we want to grow your business so that if there are things that you're doing, your business, you don't have to do them anymore. So these are my kids. This is me. These are my boys. This is Nicholas, and he is the one who is autistic and has seizures. And so he's doing a seizure study right now. This is my oldest, Tony. And again, this is how I always see them. When I look at them and I get mad at them, they get on my nerves. This is what I see them like this. And I know I'm not the only parent that sees their kids as little kids, even though they tower over them right now. I still see them as little kids. They are my joy. They are my life. They are my love. And then this is our nonprofit down here and the stuff that we do in the community. So yeah, they are bigger now. They are much bigger than this. They're taller than me, clearly. But yeah, this is how I see them. And early on in my journey, before I got into e-commerce, I was definitely doing some hustling. I was having garage sales to raise money, and I would have like multiple garage sales a year, like more than multiple. It was ridiculous. And I made a lot of money. People would give me their stuff, and I would sell the stuff at the garage sales. Then I figured out I could sell stuff on Craigslist. Then I figured I could sell stuff on eBay. I was like, what? So I learned how to do this over time. My business has evolved. And so I've probably done almost every aspect outside of official private label. I've done my own version of private label. Outside of official private label, I've done probably every way in which you could do this business. Seriously, all of them. But this is me, and they are my why, and this is my life. And my job is to be here for people, to help them to be successful in their business and to grow their businesses. So the things that I want you to think about is, I gave you some things at the beginning or throughout this, so you can come back and rewatch it. We'll send this out. But I want you to think about your mindset. Your mindset is the beliefs that become your thoughts, and your thoughts become your words, and your words become your actions. Your actions become your habits. Your habits become your values, and your values become your destiny. I want you to think about that. Like, what are the habits what are the things that you're saying to yourself in your e-commerce business? And maybe it's not your e-commerce business. Maybe it's something else. Maybe just e-commerce is just like your side hustle, and you really don't see yourself doing this in 5 years, and that's fine. But if you want to be a lifelong entrepreneur, and maybe e-commerce is an aspect of your entrepreneurial journey, again, what are the thoughts that you have about your business? What are the words you're saying to yourself? What are the actions? And what are the habits that you want to build in 2021? Really, what are the habits that you want to build in 2021? That's a big one. Okay. So think about what you've been thinking about your business. I know a lot of people who have quit e-commerce in 2020. And I don't say that with laughter. I understand, because again, there's always a hurdle to jump over when it comes to your business. So I'm going to use the example. I used to talk to my best friend. Her name was Renata. And so I would say, every time I get going on something, whatever it happens to be, I feel like I'm running along, jogging. And then all of a sudden, a big giant cylinder block just drops down out of the sky in front of me. I'd be like, what? Where'd this come from? There was nothing in front of me, and now I have a cylinder block. Okay, so then I just keep running and keep running. And then, oh, what is this? Now another cylinder block. And so it's always a hurdle. And 2020 was a lot of cylinder blocks, and you had to pivot and adjust. And, it's like, I think Twister is probably a good example. You remember that scene in Twister where everything was just like landing in front of them? There's a cow, there's another cow, oh, there's a tractor, it's just been crazy. And so just making the adjustments so that you can get to the other side of the tornado. I think that's what 2020 really probably is the best analogy of 2020. But I want you to think about your mindset. What are some of the habits you need to build for 2020? What are the words you're saying to yourself? What are some of the thoughts? And I want you to think about those words, because we're going to talk about a vision board for 2021. I want you to build a vision board for 2021. If e-commerce is one aspect of your entrepreneurial journey, that's fine. If it has become your permanent way of doing it, I want you to know that you can use e-commerce to make a living. If you're working a 9 to 5, if you got a job that you're doing, you could get to a place in your business in 2021 where you can quit that job and just do e-commerce, because there's so many different ways to do e-commerce. And I'm really excited and passionate about talking about those. So like I said, don't forget about the 5th, and invite a friend, tell them that they need to come. So on this journey, a lot of us get caught up. Some of the people that have gotten frustrated with this e-commerce journey, and they're frustrated and they give up. They don't like obstacles. I don't want to have to deal with obstacles. I like it when it's easy. I like it when everything works. I like it when I don't have any challenges. That's the kind of business I want to run. I don't want anything to do with challenges. Here's the reality. All of the challenges you're experiencing, of course, all of the retailers are dealing with on a much bigger scale. Every year prior to the pandemic, and even after the pandemic, there were always people that were going to have returns. So you always saw a return line at Walmart, or you always saw a return line at Target, or wherever. You saw that, and that's never going to change. Even after the pandemic, 5 years from now, you're still going to have that situation. So it's part of the business. It's the cost of doing business. There are going to be times in which you're going to take a loss. It is the cost of doing business. So these are things that, again, if you have not decided this journey is for you, you need to know that these are things that are part of the cost of doing business. On the other side of this, people are going to continue to be buying online like crazy for the next 9 to 12 months. So if you were late to the game, if you didn't really do anything with your e-commerce business in 2020, there's still time in 2021 to do those things. Why? Unfortunately, because the pandemic numbers are still ridiculous, and you could pivot to sell consumables, things that people need anyway. You know, people need different things, Band-Aids, cotton balls, I don't know, Neosporin, mashed potatoes, cereal. Like you could still sell those things because people are still buying those things. They're going to continue to buy consumables. And so you can make adjustments and make a killing in this business and get to your goal, your target numbers. But you need to figure out which mindset do you have. You have a fixed mindset that when those cylinder blocks land from out of nowhere in front of you, you're like, oh, I'm done with this. I am not doing this. Or, okay, all right, I got to figure out how to get around this. I got to make adjustments. I got to figure it out. So, whatever your mindset is, whatever your why is, you use your why and your mindset to help you endure all of the crazy. So as entrepreneurs, you know, consistency is that mindset is key to us, you know, persevering through this. Perseverance is one of them too. Being persistent, being driven, being flexible. I think this year a lot of people learned how to be flexible, being a problem solver. You definitely have to learn how to be a problem solver. A lot of grace and mercy. I've talked about grace and mercy. You also have to be curious. Try something new. Try something different. If you've been doing private label this whole time, you know, and you love it, that's great. But, you know, and maybe you don't want to do any retail arbitrage, but maybe you can source for something that you don't traditionally source for. Because if you have mastered the art of private label, you can do that in different areas, or you can source for products with wholesale suppliers. Let me just tell you, there's going to be a bunch of inventory that's going to flood the market. Liquidations are continuing to flood the market because of a lot of brick and mortars that went out of business. There's a lot of brick and mortars that went out of business. So again, you have to be buoyant. You have to be willing to take risks. You have to be patient because money isn't instant. And so this is what you are if you're on this entrepreneurial journey. And this is important for you to know and to understand and appreciate about yourself if you're on this entrepreneurial journey. That you're capable of doing this. You just have to make sure you have the right mindset, and flexibility is important. So some of the things in which you can, you know, do an assessment of where you are, your mindset. One of the things I like is the DISC personality test. A DISC is your dominance. It measures your dominance, your influence, your steadiness, and your consciousness. So you can go to bit.ly/inspired DISC, and it is a small I, and take the test and see where you are. And maybe that will give you an idea of what type of entrepreneur you are, what type of potential decisions, different decisions you need to make in your business. Also, the Clifton Strengths Assessment. That one, I love that one. So you can go to bit.ly/inspire strengths and take the test. It will also probably help you figure out why you make some of the decisions you make in your business. Maybe you are a person that struggled. I think some of the brick and mortars, I would love those mom and pops that maybe have lost their business. They, you know, this is a great test for people to take because if you want to expand and grow your business, you need to know what your strengths are and what your weaknesses are and where you can make improvements and how you can play to your strengths. You know, I think about all the guys who are on Shark Tank and the girls, the ladies that are on Shark Tank, and some of the others that we see in the news that are great. They're entrepreneurs. They know what their strengths and weaknesses are. They know where they need to focus. They know what their gifts are. And so, do you know what yours are? And if you don't, take the opportunity to take these tests to figure out learn a little bit more about yourself. Learn a little bit more about what you can and cannot handle. You may find that you don't like weathering the storm, and it's okay. And you maybe have to make an adjustment or maybe not do e-commerce, maybe do something else from an entrepreneurial standpoint. There's a lot of volatility, but there's also a lot of consistency in what e-commerce brings to the table. The other thing is I encourage you to build a vision board. There's a lot of different apps out there that you can use to create a vision board. And I encourage you to do that so that you have something to focus on and look at in your business. And it just every morning, get up. What is your morning routine? So, you know, Life of an Entrepreneur. I'm a fan of Chris Records. And so he has the morning Was it Miracle Morning? I think that's what it is. But anyways, it's a rap song that he made. He made a lot of rap songs. And I love that song because it's a great one. It talks about the morning routine. What is your morning routine? Do you get up? Do you have some affirmations? Do you look at your vision board? Do you meditate? Do you think about what my day is going to look like? What do you do at the end of the day? Do you write down the things that you want to accomplish tomorrow? How do you reassess your business? Are you reassessing your business on a weekly or a monthly basis or a quarterly basis, just to figure out whether or not you're hitting your goals and your targets, where you need to make adjustments? So again, building a vision board. So something you can look at on a daily basis to help you refocus when stuff gets hard. And stuff has gotten hard in 2020. And if you made it this far, congratulations, give yourself a pat on the back. Let's go into 2021 with just a little bit of a thicker armor so that we can weather whatever 2021 is going to throw at us. So the DISC test, here's some of the things that the DISC test is going to give you information about when it comes to yourself. I think it is helpful to know some of this stuff. So I know that I enjoy independence. So accuracy, perspective, like I'm that person. Also, I'm a D, so I'm a D and a C. I do know that. I see the big picture. I can't be blunt. I know these things about myself. I accept challenges. I get straight to the point. Most of the time, I did ramble a little bit at the beginning. And then there are people that, again, behaviors, the different behaviors that the DISC test is going to reveal to you. So these are just some of them. These are not all of them. I just wanted to give you a picture. If you decide to take the DISC test, I'm going to go backwards. If you didn't get this bit.ly, it's bit.ly/inspire, capital I. You do have to type it exactly the way it looks, capital D, small I, capital S, and small c. Then the Clifton Strengths test. So this is, I think this is mine, maybe. I think it is. So this is me, and it tells me my top 5 strengths are: I'm a maximizer, I'm focused, individualization, futuristic, and significance. And then I'm a strategic, I'm a learner, I'm an achiever, responsibility, and belief. So these are my strengths, my top 10 strengths, and then some of the other stuff. And it gives you all this information about yourself to help you better understand things that you're either good at or things you need to do differently. So this is the Clifton Strengths test. And you can go to bit.ly/inspire, capital I, and then capital S on strengths. So that way you can do the Clifton Strengths test. You should do that. Just take the opportunity to learn a little bit about yourself, and maybe that explains some of the decision. Maybe you're a person that's been avoiding reconciling your bills or reconciling your business every month or every week or whatever. Like avoidance is your thing. So this is something to learn about yourself, something you need to know. And maybe you're thinking about going into a partnership. So if you decide you're going to go into a partnership, I strongly recommend that both of you take those 2 tests. So then that way it's going to help you manage some of the surprises you have in the future. Maybe the person you're partnering with is more of a creative spirit and you're more of an analytical spirit. And so that's going to, create an interesting dynamic and also potentially create challenges for the 2 of you. So you need to know that. Or maybe you're a husband and wife team. And so you're trying to figure out which one of you is best suited for whatever. So some people that I know, the husband runs like the e-commerce side of the business and the wife makes the choices on the sourcing. Like, again, what are the strengths and what are the weaknesses? What are you good at? And then if you stay in your lane, that helps your business to grow and prosper. Maybe your kids are good at some stuff. And so paying attention to that, especially as they grow older, because my oldest is 15 now. And then the next thing I want you guys to do is to, create a vision board. Why should you create a vision board? A vision board is going to give you an opportunity to look at where you want to go, where you want to be. Again, I want you to close your eyes and think about, do I still want to be doing this 5 years from now? And also look back on your life. Like the last 5 years, did you think you'd be doing this? If you're working a job, did you say you were going to quit 5 years ago? Or did you say you were going to quit 10 years ago and you're still doing it? So again, you got to figure out, what are you not doing? What are you not progressing in? What are you not moving the needle on, so that you can stop doing what it is you want to do and do the thing that you're really interested in, or what brings you joy, what brings you passion. Again, at the end of the day, life is short. All of us got to remember that life is really, really short. So, the vision board is also, you can use it for your screensaver. So that way it comes up on your screen every single day when you pull it up. You can have a digital version of it that you like maybe have it as a pen. Um, you can use it for different things. You can make it a little wallet size of it and put it in your wallet. You can save it on your phone so that it becomes part of your phone background. Like you can use it for different things. So it helps remind you of where you want to go, what you want to achieve in 2021, what you want to do differently, because there's going to be obstacles. Things are going to happen. Cars are going to break down, toilets are going to overflow, lightning storms are going to hit, like things are going to happen. And more interesting things are going to continue to happen in the world. So how are you going to adjust to those things? And how are you going to stay focused and centered on what it is you want to accomplish? I am going to confess, and I think I said this in a previous session, that this year I had the hardest time adjusting when my kids stayed home in March. Like trying to get back on the horse, I felt like I fell off of the horse part of April and part of May. Could have been way, way stronger than they were because of the fact that I kept falling off the horse trying to figure out how to make being a mom that teaches my kids from home and run my e-commerce business and do the other things that I need to do. Like our nonprofit, we had to cancel all of our events. So, just struggling with all of that. I felt like I was swimming in quicksand all of April and May and June. Even though I may have had a smile on my face, I felt like I was swimming in quicksand. And I finally started to get some traction in August, only to have some things set me back a little bit in September and then get back up on the horse in October. So my point is, we all have challenges. I didn't hit the targets I wanted. I didn't hit the goals that I wanted. I had to reset. I had to make some adjustments. And so my numbers are not where I want them to be for the end of 2020, but it's okay. I have the ability to make adjustments and changes to it for 2021. I have the ability to pivot to something else. I have the ability to include my kids. So there's different things I can do to make up that. But being able to refocus on every single morning, I did not have my vision board to remind me in the midst of the crazy on the news, in the midst of the crazy in inventory, in the midst of the crazy in shipping. I didn't have that to refocus on every single day. So that's a change that I'm making for 2021. So if I'm saying I should do it, you should do it, I should do the same thing. That having my vision board where I can see it at all times. This is a reminder, okay, this is what I'm shooting for. And I really do want you to think about where you want to be. I think everyone should have a vision board because I have one, but again, I didn't have it where I could always see it. One for what you want to accomplish in that year. Where do you want to see yourself in 5 years? And where do you want to see yourself in 10 years? So that you know what be realistic. What's your progression on your journey? So create a vision board for all of that. So here's some just different examples of vision boards. These are physical, and then you also have a digital one there. But if you want something tangible, something you can touch, something you can feel, you can always take a picture of it and put it on your phone, put it on your screensaver. But create a vision board. If you want something tangible, if you want a project, that your kids create their own vision boards as well. Everybody sit down and grab some magazines or some newspaper clippings or print some stuff online and get some construction paper and make one. Get the big poster board, whatever, or create your own online one. You can do that through Canva. It's easy to do. So, this is towards the end of your mindset. These are the things that I want you to be thinking about, because we're going to come back and we're going to talk about focus after. We're going to talk about focus, and we're going to talk about re-energizing your business. So refocusing and re-energizing. So we talked about resetting. We have to reset our mindset because this was a crazy year. And some of the things that I want you to be mindful of for 2021 is I want you to be intentional with your time, money, and resources. I think in 2020, we've all learned that time is so finite and your time is valuable, and wasted time, those are the regrets of those that, they had a vision, they had a dream, and they wasted time. I wasted time this year. I didn't do as much binge watching as I know others have, and I binge watched while working at the same time. This year, I think I binge watched, I'd already seen Monk, so I already knew that, but I watched Schitt's Creek, which is really hilarious. and I binge watched all of Girlfriends. I'd seen that before, but I binge watched some stuff. That's time I'll never be able to get back again. Could I have been more productive? Yeah. But did I need a mental health break? Yeah. There was just a lot happening. So you do have to give yourself grace and mercy. But for next year, the thing that I'm going to make sure I'm not going to sit down and binge watch, because that was the thing for 2020. I've never binge watched anything. So that was the thing for 2020. But be intentional with your time, be intentional with your money and your resources. I think there was a lot of money decisions that people had to learn from. Sometimes you can hold off on going to go get that McDonald's or get that Starbucks cup of coffee, because you're going to need that money somewhere else. So be intentional with your time, money, and resources. Resources, when it comes to resources, like what are you spending money on right now that you're not really using? What are some of the subscriptions that you have? What are some of the services that you sign up for? What are some of the things that you're not really using? So be intentional. Be a student. Definitely always be learning about whatever it is you want to master and get better at. Be a student. Get yourself a regular schedule. Get on a regular schedule. Try to build a regular schedule. I know that's sort of subjective if you had kids and you were teaching from home, but again, do what you can to recreate a schedule that's realistic for you. And we'll then talk about that in the next session. Be committed, be consistent. So being committed means there's going to be 5,000 shiny objects that are going to come to you, especially in January. I'm just going to tell you, mark my words right now. In January, that's when a lot of the MLMs, they roll out stuff because people decide they want to make changes in their life. And so the MLMs, they come out of woodwork January and February, December, January, and February. Like you have a whole bunch of people trying to recruit you and sign you up for all these different whatever. If that's what you want to do, that's fine. I've been in previously in a previous life, a lot of network marketing companies. And I stopped doing that because e-commerce, I found my solution. I found my groove. I found my niche. So just be mindful of the shiny objects as they hit and try not to let them derail you on where you want to go and what you want to do. Be consistent in your business. Always be consistent. Always be either listing, sourcing, whatever it takes to keep your business going in the midst of it all. In the midst of it all. Be focused. And so we're going to talk about ways to focus and also to get organized and then to be organized. There's a lot of things that you should be doing in your business you're probably not doing, and you need to do better or differently. So get organized. These are things that practices that you should be engaging in on a regular basis in your business, and be intentional about this in 2021. Give yourself grace and mercy for the decisions you made in 2020 and be intentional about it in 2021. So I hope this was helpful. I know this was not necessarily what people were thinking it was going to be. It is really, this first part is really about the mindset and about the journey and about allowing yourself the space to be able to deal with all of the interestingness that was 2020, and then go into 2021 with just a little bit more armor, a little bit more tenacity, a little bit more focus and concentration so that you can achieve the things you want to do, or make the decision that e-commerce is not for you. I don't want to do this. I don't want to have nothing to do with customer returns, late shipments. I'm frustrated with it all. Or can I figure out an alternate solution or put a process in place to deal with those things, So I hope this was a blessing to you. I am open to any questions you want to ask. If you want to type them in the chat. So the next session is on the 5th. We're going to cover a whole bunch of stuff. We are going to cover tips and strategies for getting organized, and we're going to talk about re-energizing your business. We're going to get into the weeds on some stuff around, drop shipping, and also around wholesale and private label and bundles. We're going to get into it all so that way you can see that you can do this business. You can do this business in 2021. You can make it work for you if this is where your passion is. So if you have questions, feel free to ask them now. I hope this was a blessing. Let's all get focused, focused, focused. All right. I'll talk with you guys later. Bye for now.